integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host this hour. I'm joined by Mike Walters and Fast Eddie, my staff infection, my personal staff infection. Saturdays they join me. And they're spelled S-T-A-F-F, not S-T-A-P-H. Although sometimes they feel like S-T-A-P-H. We've been, this is our third segment out of 3. We've been at it since 6. Our last hour, we just spent a lot of time on some pretty heavy introspective stuff, so we're going to change that around a little bit. Too many hours of that, and we'll all be ready to go look for a tall bridge.
Oh!
We live in the country, so there's no high buildings. We have to go find bridges.
I was going to say, we have no tall bridges. That's the problem. Oh, maybe it's not the problem.
Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahassee Bridge.
Well, it's just down 14 the other day. You know, I got the twin bridges. That's about as high as I can think
Yeah,
of
except
around here.
it's not high enough.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You probably just wake up, you know, with a busted leg thinking, damn.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Hey, listen, I had a very...
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
you had
no.
an interesting thought. Go ahead.
No, I had an interesting conversation with our county clerk this week, and he was very open and forthcoming about things that had to do with elections within the county. And actually, we were kind of stomping on people last week because during that last congressional election, we had such a pitiful turnout, which actually, after I turned to Daniel Franks, it turns out we had a more pitiful, turnout than I thought. It was like less than 13%. However, what he did tell me was, and he showed me the records, in the last 2 presidential elections that we've had, we had about a 60% or better voter turnout in this county. Now, having said that, we don't have the voter turnout of Albania.
Great. Where was that bridge again?
Yeah, exactly.
When Billy Joe McAllister jumped off that Tallahassee Bridge.
That's it. But
well, you know, here's the deal, and I understand why America's lost faith in the electorate system. They have. They've lost faith in the electoral system, I should say, not the electorate system. We are the electorate. But, you know, I get it. I get why. Most Americans are so jaded at this point because we all know that it's such a sham. It's a kabuki theater. It's a joke. And I understand. I mean, I feel it myself. It doesn't abdicate us of the responsibility of going out there and voting. But I understand the causes why we say it's just not worth the grief and aggravation you got to deal with.
But you're right. It's a responsibility. And regardless of how you feel about it, it is your responsibility to yourself and your family and your fellow citizens to get out there and vote.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I just think that, and I said this before, we're beyond political solutions today. But again, I reiterate the point that we made in the last hour, which is, and I'm not going to get into the mental fracking again, but if we're not going to recognize our own motivations and why we desire freedom and what's holding us back individually from desiring and understanding and be willing to take the risks and the painful process of coming out of our slavery, we're never going to achieve anything. So my suggestion, my goal, personally, and for each of you, is that we completely and thoroughly understand what we individually, personally are dealing with, and what motivates us, what's holding us back. I am going to say this, because nobody should be under a false expectation. This ain't going to be easy. It ain't easy for a heroin addict to say, I'm going cold turkey, and I'm going to be laying in this bed with cold sweats and shivers and feeling sick. It ain't easy for a guy in power to say, I'm going to give up this role and this position, and nobody's going to treat me like I'm special anymore, and I'm not going to get the best seat at the restaurant, and there's not all going to be all these young 25-something girls fawning all over me when I'm a 65-year-old overweight bag.
Hey.
I'm just saying the realities of it, man. You can sit there and, we can gild the lily, but it doesn't change it, right? You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And that's the reason that we, for whatever reason, can't break free of our own personal obsessive behavior. And so it's imperative that, we take the time to be clear, to be clear about what our motivations are, to find out where our own faults lie, and then deal with them while we are simultaneously dealing with our nation. Because if we solve those problems, the jaws of power are always open to devour, and our arm is always stretched out to destroy the freedom of thinking, speaking, and writing.
There's some other goodies in there, too.
There are. Mike was gracious enough to pull some John Adams quotes. And, I like to quote our founders because I think that these guys really got it. And they were far better educated than we are. I've read it a number of times, but the number one book, this was an Edmund Burke quote, who I love. Edmund Burke, and I don't know the actual quote, but basically what it was is that the number one book that was sold in England for distribution over here in the United States during the days of the colonies was not, well, there's two. The first was the Bible, and the second were law and philosophy books. They understood John Locke, Montesquieu. They read treatises on law, philosophy, concepts of government and self-government, analyses, so that they thoroughly understood them. And if there's one thing that each of us has an obligation to do, it's make sure that we have a foundational understanding for why we have our positions, whatever they are, right? We can't be ideologically inbred, Fast Eddie's phrase. We can't be. And we can't drink our own Kool-Aid. Then we're nothing but a parrot or a sycophant, parroting someone else's opinion, which is really not our own. So what we have to do is make sure that we are understanding of where we fall short. And Eddie just handed me a note here. It says, this is the conversation we need to have with ourselves. Yes, self. You are my problem. You are my brother, but I need you to walk with me so we can both love and survive together. For remember, we together are made in God's image. And that is the truth. Problem is, most Americans aren't willing to have those hard conversations with themselves. Our founders were.
One of the things that you're talking about is when you talk about Burke and Locke and these guys that wrote political philosophy, they debated and constantly talked about concepts,
right?
And not things,
not people.
They talked about concepts,
right?
And not just in a detached sort of way, but they talked about concepts and recognized that those concepts had a practical application and implementation in government and in everyday life. I don't think there's a lot of that going on nowadays amongst our elected representatives. I don't see the introspection and in reference to laws, rules, regulations. Right now this giant immigration bill is up there. And who is it that is standing at the rostrum in the House or in the Senate who is arguing point for point why this bill should be passed, and where is the other orator, who will follow him?
We don't have great orators anymore. We don't have any Daniel Websters left.
That's sad.
There's an old phrase out there that really strikes at home, and this is something each of us should memorize, because we can catch ourselves when we are failing by this simple phrase. Great men talk of concepts and ideas. Mediocre men talk of things. Weak and ineffectual people talk about other people, and they gossip. And our founders were great men because they understood that it wasn't important what things they were dealing with or what people or gossip was going on. They were much more interested in noodling down to concepts and ideas and thoroughly understanding the pros, the cons, the ins and outs, the functions, the features of each of those things. And then using that knowledge and wisdom to craft something that was the 5,000-year leap in humanity.
It's the only document of its kind in the world.
In all of known history of the world. And man, I mean, with an example like that, how dare we worry about what color Kim Kardashian's bra is, or what her baby's name is going to be, or who won the game with the Cardinals. We're going to be back in just a minute, folks.
The best shows in Branson are now playing at the Americana Theater. Don't miss Three Redneck Tenors, Branson's new smash hit, down-home laughs, and big city voices. It's a hilarious musical adventure that you just have to see. Also at the Americana Theater, Todd Oliver and his Talking Dogs. That's right, Talking Dogs. Hilarious comedy, great music, and family fun. A top 10 finalist on America's Got Talent, make sure to see Todd Oliver and Friends. If you want to rock and roll, check out Joseph Hall's Elvis Rock and Remember tribute. Joseph Hall will blow you away as Elvis, and his band is absolutely smoking. For you early birds, wake up with Cassandra and Friends. She plays at 10 a.m. with Branson's largest live band. Enjoy Cassandra's stunning voice and great comedy as well. The best shows in Branson are at the Americana Theater. Visit theamericanatheater.com for more information. That's theamericanatheater.com. in Branson, Missouri.
All right, we're back. We're going to take a quick call because Glenn has something he wants to input into this, and I want to hear it, and you do too. I want you to hear it. Go ahead, Glenn. Fire away.
I wasn't nervous till you said that. Now I am.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Glenn Webster. No.
I wish. I'd like to walk in such hollow ground.
This is Glenn Burke, Montesquieu, Webster. That's it. He's hanging up right now.
I'm feeling teeny.
We should be hearing dial tone any moment now, folks. Go ahead, Glenn. I'm sorry. But you are a good thinker, and I appreciate and acknowledge your
I try.
input.
I try. I frequently fall short of the grace, but I try.
Well, so what's on your mind?
You were talking about rhetoric, and this is something that is near and dear to my mind for a while now. Because you and Mr. Walters there with you were discussing critical thinking several weeks ago. May not have been that long. Part of the problem is that rhetoric and, critical thinking skills, aren't taught in schools the way they were back in the 19s and 20s. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this article about floating out on the internet about what the graduation requirements were from the 8th grade back in 1919, 1901.
Yeah. They actually have a test out there, which I have to admit I'm not sure I could pass.
Exactly right. So I think we've been dumbed down.
Well, we don't teach civics anymore. We don't teach the concepts of critical thinking. We don't teach the idea behind government. I mean, that's what our children should really, truly be imbued with, not this nonsense about social justice, which is what everything is all about now. It's all about social justice and why and how you can and should be a member of this collective and be willing to immolate yourself on the altar of self-sacrifice for the good of the collective. It's nonsense.
Yeah, exactly right.
Adams had a quote for that, too. The only maxim of a free government ought to be to trust no man living with power to endanger the public liberty. Well, guess what? Every teacher out there who is not teaching those basic tools that people need, that children need as they move into life, and isn't teaching the critical skills that are required in order to be able to think cohesively and connectedly, they are the people, the man we're trusting with power that does endanger our public's liberty. You follow my point? In other words,
I do follow your point.
It doesn't have to be the guy in the White House or the guy in the Senate. It's as little as the teacher. And abuse of words has been the great instrument of sophistry and chicanery, of party, faction, and division of society. So when these teachers are in there and teaching verbicide to children and alternate realities that are outside the concepts of what everybody knows to be the realities of life, they are abusing words, and they're using that great instrument of sophistry and chicanery to create faction and divide society. It's all about social justice. It's all about making sure that everyone is equal. We're not all equal. We're all equal under the law, but we're not all given the same gifts. We're not all given the same abilities. We're not all given the same capabilities. And we should stop pretending as if we are. It's like sitting there saying, you hear the girl, who does the beauty pageant, and she's like, what's the one question they always ask, right? What would you like to, if you could be president for the day?
World, yeah.
World peace, right?
Yeah.
World peace. Let me tell you something. There will never be world peace. And I'll tell you why. It's very simple. We can never have world peace because all it takes is one nut, one tyrant to muck it all up. And we've got, you can pick 100 different examples of it down through history, from Napoleon and before him Genghis Khan to Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin and Karl Marx. And, these people are all about power for their own benefit, and they're not about world peace. And you'll never achieve world peace. So I guess my point is we should stop as a society, and we should stop as a species looking for world peace. We should acknowledge that it's never going to arrive, and that the best that we can do is find a happy medium between peace and making sure that we nip those tyrants in the bud before they get too far ahead of themselves.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely
so,
right.
Well, listen, I appreciate your input. I think what we're going to do is we're going to open our phone lines up and let you guys call in. Anybody's got any thoughts on this, you can call us on our Wits End Classic Barbershop line. Jason over at Wits End Classic Barbershop is a great friend of it and supporter of our program. He sponsors our phone lines. You can call us at 257-1111 and or 866-554-6636. That's our toll-free line if you're out there in the hinterlands. But if you're local, you can call 257-1111. And, again, if you're out there far out, you can call us at 866-554-6636. And whoop, there they go. So, do you have any other thoughts that you wanted to impart on us?
I was just going to say, in 1968, my family moved to Iron County, Missouri.
Okay.
We moved in there. There was no power, no lights. Had to clear land in order to get back into it.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say it was a turning point in my life because with no power, I read everything.
Yep.
We're talking about labels off of cans.
Yeah. Me too.
So I know it was a turning point because up to that point I hadn't been an ardent reader. But after that, man, I took off.
I got you. And I'm telling you, folks, if there's one thing in your life that you need to do, it's shut off that electric boob tube and pick up books. And I don't care what you read. Anything is better than nothing. Thanks.
Anything will make you smarter than the boob tube, buddy.
There you go. Thanks for your thoughts, brother.
All right. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Calling from Philadelphia, originally Missourian, but I'm feeling very good about what's going on with the progress with the Blue Waves Project, standing up against it. Concerning this thing called critical thinking, I think it actually goes deeper than that because it's the analogy. You've heard the analogy, running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Well, for those who raise chickens, they understand what that means literally. I think it's more like running around like a head with our chicken cut off. And here's why. Thinking, there's a lot of people that are thinking, but they're not feeling. This has to do with whole consciousness, our conscience, because they for multiple generations they put us in a situation where they have dumbed us down, but they've basically literally cut us off from the neck down, and they create this Hegelian dialectic of black, white, right, wrong, race issues, and all of this. And then all this stuff bounces around in our heads like it's Chinese ping pong, and the next thing that comes along, we're bouncing off the walls because we're being distracted on purpose, we're being confused, we're being stressed.
Sure.
And what we don't do is stop and say, okay, how does this feel? Does this feel right? And for the people who are waking up, that's where they're coming from. They're coming from a place that this just doesn't feel right, and it all sounds good. It's all full of legalese, and all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, but it doesn't feel good, and so that has to do with consciousness, really, and our conscience. So that's one thing I'd like to say, and also on this subject of Kinder. Figuring and taking a stand against the administration, the Dixon administration. There's something I want to bring to your attention and the people of Missouri's attention. That's something that's happened in one of our communities, and that is that there's a kid named Ryan Ferguson who's in prison. Has been in prison for 9 years. This is in Boone County. That's in Columbia. Boone County.
Okay.
It happened in Columbia, and the deal there is that there was never any evidence. There was only 2 witnesses. Now the 2 witnesses have recanted, and they actually they admitted they had lied. Okay, but
they won't give him a new trial.
They won't give him a new trial. The prosecuting attorney in that matter was a man named Kevin Crane, who is now, by the way, a judge, and they will not give him they will not acknowledge his appeal. And here's the other one. Koster won't hear of it. He won't respond to it. He won't investigate.
Yeah.
It's also, from what I understand, been put before Governor Nixon, and he's knocked it down a pardon 15 times. It's absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, I want to bring that to your attention.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. The department. Go ahead.
There also one more thing. There is a website people can refer to. It's called www.freeryanferguson.com, and I encourage you to go there. I just learned about this just a couple weeks ago, and it's incredibly stirring. It's incredibly troubling.
Okay,
Thank you,
what
Mike.
is it called? FreeBrianFerguson.com?
Free Ryan Ferguson.
Oh, Ryan.
R-Y-A-N.
R-Y-A-N. Ferguson. F-U-R-G, right?
F-E-R-G-U-S-O-N.
F-E-R-G. Okay, great. Hey, thank you very much for that call. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll open up our phone lines. We'll give you an update on where the Blue Waves are. I can do that real quick. 16 counties out of the 21 have signed, and the only one that's actually had an actual hearing about it, there's a couple of counties that haven't actually had their meeting yet, but Greene County has heard it, and they now are in the decision-making phase. But we'll give you an update on what's going on with down in Arkanistan and over here in Missouristan, and which is how they view us in the federal side.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The President and First Lady have met privately with family members of Nelson Mandela, who's been hospitalized with a lung infection for 3 weeks now. President Obama saying in a just-released statement he hopes Mandela draws peace and comfort from the time he's spending with loved ones.
South African President Jacob Zuma told Obama that he and Mandela both carry the dreams of millions of Africans as the first black leaders for their countries.
Fox Radio's Emily Wither. The president will not meet with the former South African leader. Here at home, excessive heat warnings all across areas of the Southwest.
118 today in Phoenix. Your all-time record is 122, so it's hot. Lake Havasu City, it's right along the Colorado River, getting to 126, and Death Valley up there to 128. Tomorrow, Las Vegas, 117. That would tie your all-time highest ever temperature.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Get a hold of Brian down at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. You can call him at 870-492-4030, or you can find him on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. Located a half-mile east of Walmart and Route 62 in Mountain Home. My friends over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery at 255-2253, number 2 Evans Arcade off the square in West Plains. Best damn bakery in 100 miles. You can reach Mary at 255-2253. My friend Bill Stone over at Stone Construction at 293-0116. Whether remodeling or doing new or custom construction or light commercial, Bill's the guy for you. 293-0116. West Plains Pawn and Gun, located on Route 160, just about a mile east of Walmart on the right-hand side. westplainspawn.com. You can also reach them by a telephone at 417-256-3000. Friends over at the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue, right off the square in West Plains. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com, and you can call them at 417-257-7799. Also, don't forget to stop by Pizza Hut for an outstanding lunch special between 11 and 2. Salad and pasta all together. You can also visit them on Tuesday evenings for family night. Kids eat free under 12. And Jason over at Wits End Classic Barbershop, the sponsor of our telephone line. Make sure that you see Wits End Classic Barbershop for your next shave and a haircut. Outstanding, fine young man, and a great patriot as well. He's on the square in West Plains.
Most of us will agree that a toothbrush and toothpaste are very low-cost items when compared to major dental repair work. We just know that it's much less painful to maintain with good dental hygiene and checkups than let things go and see what happens. The same is true with vehicle maintenance. Following recommended fluid maintenance schedules and replacing filters before a problem develops is much more cost-efficient than dealing with a transmission or engine breakdown. Stop by or call Don's Auto Service to schedule the services recommended for your vehicle, 1618 Porter Wagner Boulevard, or 417-256-2752.
Weather sponsorships are now available on News Talk 107.1 The Point. Get more information, email info@diamondmediaradio.com for complete details.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a mainly clear sky. It's going to be mostly sunny through the day with a slight chance for a thunderstorm. The high temperature 82 degrees. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, low near 60. Tomorrow, mix of clouds and sun with a thunderstorm possible, high 78, sunny Monday. I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi. For more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
Are you looking to save money? Did you know that in the last 20 years, interest rates have never been this low? That's why you should make the smart call today to West Plains Savings and Loan to start your home mortgage. Just imagine how much money you'll save. Key word is save, as in savings and loan. Your loan starts here and stays here. Never would it be sold to a secondary lender. Call today, 256-3042. That's 256-3042. West Plains Savings and Loan. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Make sure that you see Mary at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, 2 Evans Arcade, 255-2253. I'll be heading over there for coffee right after I get off here. Dear friend of mine, best damn bakery in 100 miles, without doubt. Friends over at springcreekbeef.com, where you can get 100% all-natural beef like it was 100 years ago. Absolutely delicious, and they ship nationwide. Great prices, good product. You won't go wrong. Battery Station at 257-7799. Outstanding product supply list of everything that you need in the way of batteries, of course, and flashlights and things like that. But they carry a lot of other stuff, including some long-term food supplies. Our co-op is there. If you're interested in participating in our co-op, you have to go to Battery Station. Ask them for a co-op list book or the catalog. They'll hand it to you. You place your order, and you will buy bulk food at wholesale rates. It's a program that is only available and open to our listenership, and it's a way for you to buy bulk food and kind of a preparation and self-reliance type thing, while at the same point in time you're getting it at wholesale rates that you could not possibly achieve no matter where else you buy. He doesn't make a penny on it. He doesn't mark it up at all, and it's a service for you from America's Voice Now and brought to you by Battery Station in West Plains. So make sure that you are supporting the Battery Station. They're at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains, and Kevin is the owner there. Good friend of ours, a big supporter of our program. 257-7799. Greg over at blackopschoolofcombat.com is having his concealed carry class today. If you cannot make that class, you can call him at 255-1612 or visit his website at blackopschoolofcombat.com and make sure that you book an alternative date. He also has classes that he can hold and split the class into two because it's an 8-hour class. He'll split it in two for the week. And if you bring 5 other folks with you, your program is free. $75 for a concealed carry class, and he is an excellent trainer. He's an excellent pistol smith, but he's also a great trainer, and he really knows his gun craft. So 255-1612 or blackopschoolofcombat.com. Friends over at West Plains Pawn, make sure that you visit them. If you're looking for a new firearm, handgun, rifle, shotgun, ammunition, accessories, you can find them over there. Talk to Kenny down there at 256-3000. It's on Highway 160, just past Walmart on the right-hand side next to the bowling alley. And our friends at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance have opened their brand new website. It's called Ozark Survival Gear. And I strongly encourage you to get over there, jump on their website, take a look at what they have. They have bulk food from Wise Foods. They have Noah's Pantry. They have Mountain House products. They've got a ton of stuff on there. They also have a lot of gear for camping and hiking and water purification from Burke filters and Katahdin and a host of other products. So make sure that you get over there. We just finished that website for them. And make sure that you get a chance to hit their e-commerce site, and you can purchase, and they'll ship straight to you. You can find them at ozarksurvivalgear.com. You can also call them at 870-492-4030, and they still have a retail location down in Mountain Home, half-mile east of Walmart. So 870-492-4030. They are open on Sunday, by the way. And not Saturday, but they are open on Sundays. So great opportunity for you to get down there. Friends over at Pizza Hut on Porter Wagoner, Tuesday's family night, under 12 is free. When you get in there, make sure that you ask for Brie. They have a great lunch special. It's every day, and you can go to there and get salad and pizza and kind of have something good while you're getting something healthy. And also Bill Stone over at Stone Construction, 2930116, covering all kinds of construction projects, residential, commercial, industrial, what have you. Nobody does it better than Bill Stone. So whether your project is big or small, make sure that you give Bill a chance to take a bid on that. It's 2930116, and he'll be more than happy to jump on the bandwagon with you, help you get settled in. He also does a lot of farm work and gate work, concrete work, framing, pouring of floors. I mean, there's no limit to what Bill does. He does all of the general contracting type services and a lot of specialties, concrete work and things like that. So, again, it's 2930116. He is a friend of mine, but he's also a huge supporter of this program, and you got to give him credit for that. It's make sure that you are patronizing our sponsors, because they're the ones who keep us on the air. So, go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Say earlier is 2 weekends ago, the Amateur Radio Relay League had their field day here, and the week before that, they graduated the first technician class here. You know, well, not the first technician class, but one of the biggest ones they've had here. And people don't realize what good these people do. They don't get paid for it. I mean, they set up. They're there for emergencies. I'm sure if you're at Mr. Page's seminar, of course you were. You're one of the speakers. But what good hams do in emergencies, and they do it without being paid for it. They're probably the closest to true patriots as you're ever going to see.
Absolutely the truth.
And John, the class, by law, they can't charge for the class, instruction class, due to FCC regs, and which is a great misnomer, in my opinion. But Mr. Price is a great teacher.
Yes, he is. John Price's class is absolutely worth taking, and he does that purely as his Paul Revere moment, much like I do this show as my Paul Revere moment. And Mike jumps in here on Saturday mornings. That's part of what our Republic's about. So make sure that you are getting the tools that you need. And one of the great ones is the ability to communicate. And you can do that with ham radio and two-way radio. And John, nobody knows more about it than John. So make sure, and he's actually building a new local network that you want to be a part of, radio network, so that we're building community reliance, knowing that at some point in time we're likely to need it. So when they shut off our phones and our cell phones and they cut the wires, you'll be able to communicate by ham. So thanks for that reminder, Glenn. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
And one of the key communication systems in the Howell County Emergency Operations Center up on the hill up there is ham radio.
Yeah.
Because when everything else fails, all those guys do is throw a wire over a tree and they're good to go.
Yep. And it doesn't matter whether it's whether it's something local, like a local disaster. When they had that thing in Katrina down in New Orleans, the only way to communicate was two-way radio, ham radio, because the cell sites were all underwater. So the cell phones were done. The landlines were buried underwater, and the switches were underwater. So phone communications were completely out for months. And, that was the only way to communicate. So absolutely worthwhile knowing, and I strongly encourage you to make sure that you're a participant in that. So. And
don't count on sat phones. You want to hear an interesting quick story about that?
Yeah, they can. Go ahead. They can shut that down real quick anyhow. But
I had relatives in Louisiana, and at the time I was still working on the border. And we had sat phones in our aircraft for emergency situations in case everything else crapped out. So my boss says, hey, we got these new sat phones. I want you to take one with you when you go to check on your relatives in Louisiana, and I want you to call us back here at the office so we can check and make sure everything works out, right? When I got down there, guess what? The Department of Defense owns the only satellites that carry sat phone communications, and because they were so busy in the sandboxes everywhere, they had sucked up all the bandwidth.
Great.
So we had these phones rattling around in our aircraft.
They weren't worthless. Yeah, you may as well have had a CD player.
I'd been better off with a twine and a can.
Right, I got you. Mike was gracious enough, as I said earlier, to print out a whole bunch of these John Adams quotes, and I want to hit this one before the next break because, boy, this really sums up. And I wish I found this one earlier during our second hour when we were talking about, the reason why if we don't fix ourselves and our own motivations and problems, we'll never be able to save our country, even if we do, win it back, so to speak, right? But, boy, just listen to this. This is really incredible. The right of a nation to kill a tyrant in cases of necessity cannot be doubted any more than to hang a robber or kill a flea. But killing one tyrant only makes way for worse unless the people have sense, spirit, and honesty enough to establish and support a constitution guarded at all points against the tyranny of the one, the few, and the many. Holy smoke.
Man, that guy, in 3 sentences, he says things that I couldn't think up in a month.
I mean, just understand that for a minute, folks.
Read it again. Read it one more time.
The right of a nation to kill a tyrant in cases of necessity cannot be doubted any more than to hang a robber or kill a flea. But killing one tyrant only makes way for worse unless the people have sense, spirit, and honesty enough to establish and support a constitution that is guarded at all points against the tyranny of the one, the few, and the many. That to me is, I almost want to take this home and memorize this one and just read it over and over and over and over again until I have got it, until I have chewed it like cud. Because that is the absolute essence of what we were talking about in the last hour. You know, we can remove those in power today and put those tyrants out. But unless we go into it with the right spirit and the right sense and honesty enough to establish and support that Constitution that we all believe in, but many of us are willing to sit there and say, I'm willing to give it up for my own personal interest, then we have lost, because we are still falling under the tyranny of the one, the few, or the many. Sometimes that tyranny is ourselves. We'll be right back.
We believe the better the ingredients, the better the taste to bring to you the greatest tasting pastries possible. At Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, we use organic, locally sourced, and natural ingredients of the highest quality. Every item is handcrafted and baked fresh for you each and every day. Visit Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, number 2 Evans Arcade on the Courthouse Square in downtown West Plains. Or call ahead 255-2253. Be sure to like and follow Chantilly's Artisan Bakery on Facebook.
I swim here every summer in my adult life. Every summer, there she is.
Can you name that movie?
Is it The Sandlot?
It is The Sandlot. Who's this?
Gretchen Evans.
What are you doing this morning, Gretchen?
Driving to work.
Where do you work?
At Vac.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gretchen.
Name that movie, 7:35 with Cooper and Company. This week is Summer Movies.
Join Cooper and Company weekday mornings 6 to 8 a.m. here on the Ozarks Best News Talk, 107.1 The Point.
Hi, I'm Scott Corman, President of Community First. We want to be your bank. We believe in the strength of our communities, businesses, families, and future. We're not just locally owned, but community owned. And we operate today just as we started, by living up to our name, putting you and our communities first.
Living up to our name, community first, banking company.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
I resent that when George Bush was President of the United States, I resent the fact that when he had a Republican Congress, he did not secure that border. George Bush, President of the United States, for 6 years he had support in the Congress. He massively grew the government. He massively grew our debt, subsidies for mortgage holders, on and on and on and on. But when it came to the border, he wouldn't secure it, and he didn't.
Weeknights from 5 till 8, Mark Levin on the Ozarks Best News Talk, 107.1.
All right, we're back. We are, our phone lines are wide open. If you'd like to give us a shout, you can call us on the Wits End Classic Barbershop hotline by calling us at 257-1111. That's 417-257-1111 locally. And if you are out there in the hinterlands, you can give us a shout on our toll-free line at 866-554-6636. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss the fact that, we learn everything that we need to know in kindergarten. And then somehow or another we start listening to excuses and reasons for the rest of our life why that isn't important. Like the non-aggression principle. You're not allowed to punch somebody in the face and take their stuff unless you're government and you get a badge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the whole principle of nonviolence that's taught, never resort to violence. I beg to differ. There are times when you need to, which is why America is defenseless in the face of criminal enterprise.
Well, but that's the non-aggression principle is about not initiating violence. It's nothing to do with defense or defending yourself.
Right, but when a guy comes into your home, I don't care what the societal rules are. You have the right to blow him back out the door.
I agree. He's already aggressed on you. That was, when he came into your house uninvited.
Exactly.
He initiated, not you. You're just defending yourself. But the idea that you could put a badge on and go kidnap somebody or put a uniform on and go take somebody's oil is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's the dual morality once again. I know I talked about this last week, but it's so simple. But yet we have all this propaganda and all this normalization that just kind of takes away what we learn in kindergarten.
Power always, sincerely, conscientiously believes itself right. Power always thinks it has a great soul and vast views beyond the comprehension of the weak.
It's dual morality and propaganda to reinforce it.
They always think they know best, and we should just live under their greater concept of right, wrong, and the worldview, because they've traveled and heard other people's influence, and they think they know better. And, this goes back to this Blue Ways thing, right? Here's the federal government stepping in here and saying, we know what should be done with that land. And we're like, well, wait a second. Didn't you forget us who own it? I mean, and it's the dichotomy of that bothers me because, on one hand, the government teaches and preaches ownership of property is investing in America and, being a farmer is a great thing. And then they come around and say, but we want this particular piece, so we're going to subjugate your rights to get it.
I called up my friend. I called up my friend out in California, and I told him about our Blue Ways initiative and what have you, and you better watch out. It's coming around the whole country. And he spent 5 minutes on Google and called me back and told me what a wonderful thing it was and what have you, and just completely missed the fact that they're telling you what you can do with your property and taking it if need be.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, I just got an email from somebody the other day about what they did in Klamath Falls in California. And go look that one up, folks. It's called Klamath Falls with a K. K-L.
Actually, that's Oregon, sir.
No, this is in California. This particular story was related to California, and it was in Klamath. This is the Klamath Falls, I guess, watershed. And I'm sure it starts in Oregon and it works its way down.
Okay,
but the upshot was what they're doing is the same thing that they were doing with the Blue Ways, but they get to actually penalize you. It was like $5,000 for every salmon that dies on your property. Well, how the heck are you supposed – I mean, go read the story yourself. I'll find it and I'll put it up on Facebook. It was Klamath Falls, and I'll put it up on our Facebook and our YouTube, our website.
I will do just that.
But and what she was saying is this is the perfect example of what they have intended for us in the Blue Ways. So I'll make sure I find it, and I promise you folks I'll have it on for you this afternoon. So
good talking to you, Mike.
Okay, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
When you look at Blue Ways, and I've had people tell me that, this is strictly a voluntary program, and you don't have to be a part of it, and blah, blah. Okay, well, the first thing in Blue Ways when you start reading it is go to the authorities section.
The memorandum of understanding.
Okay, yeah. And go to the authorities section, and there's 12 different federal laws referred to in the authorities section. And one of them is 16 United States Code 1246 B2, and I can't give you the rest of the sites.
Close enough.
But basically, that is the law that allows for condemnation and seizure of private property under the right of eminent domain. Now, if Blue Way is such a voluntary program, if this is kumbaya, we're all getting together to do a good thing, for generations to come, then why do they need an authorities section in there that allows them to condemn and seize private property?
Yeah. Well, eminent domain and the word voluntary can never be used in the same sentence because they are like matter and antimatter.
Yeah.
The whole principle or concept of that is so absurd it's actually ridiculous. Good morning, caller.
I've got a question. What's their recourse if the dictator sends over an order to the Secretary of Interior to stop it then?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, if Obama sends the Secretary of Interior an order, a decree, to go ahead and impose this regulation or whatever Blue Way White Water will entail, what are we going to do about it?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we have our state senators and representatives and our sheriffs aware of what's going on, because what the plan will be at that point will be to say we have arrest powers to remove you physically, if necessary, by police power or by police force if they come in and try to violate.
Well, I appreciate your answer, and I hope for the will of God that happens. We've got the guts to do it.
And honestly, if the sheriffs and the lawmakers can't do it, we are citizens, and this is ours.
You know what? You quote Thomas Jefferson. What did he mean when he said sometimes we might have to water the Liberty Tree? What was he talking about?
Yes, sir. I get it.
Okay. Thank
you. Appreciate you. You're listening too. His quote there was, there are times when we have to water the tree of liberty with the blood of tyrants and patriots. And, those guys understood it in a way that we've been dumbed down to with, the earlier caller's non-aggression concept, right? Never be aggressive. And they teach you that for a reason. They want us to be docile. They want us to be non-aggressive because our aggression, if it's left unchecked, will eventually turn towards that who is your oppressor, right? What do you think professional sports is all about? It's to keep literally 100 million testosterone-laden males from focusing on the real tyranny going on around them. And if you think I'm kidding, I just want you to spend 5 minutes thinking about that principle for a minute.
Distraction.
It's not just distraction. It's to expel that energy at something other than picking up a rifle and going to Washington, D.C. That's what it's meant for. I mean, in the overall large picture, that's what it's meant for. To keep you from thinking about what it is you need to do to expel that testosterone energy and that male need for alpha, determination. I'm telling you, that's why professional sports is so heavily promoted by government. Think about it. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build stadiums in cities all around the nation. Why?
They get special privileges too. I mean, did you know the NFL is a tax-exempt organization under 501c3? Did you also know that
so is the NBA?
Did you also know that both of those organizations are not subject to EEO laws?
Yeah, neither is Congress, by the way. So
yeah, the whole legislative branch of the government,
which tells you what ought to tell you something. Anyway, hey guys, listen. I want to thank a number of. Apparently, we have just I don't know what we've been hitting our stride here or something. In the last 2 weeks, we have gone from 400 likes on our Facebook page to 561. I mean, the number of hits on our website and the number of likes on our Facebook page has just been astounding. And I got to thank those of you who are sharing because I know that's how it's happening. I mean, they're not hearing me because I'm a voice in a vacuum, right? But when you share stuff from our Facebook page that we like, that we post that you like, or you put a comment on it, or you click the like button on a specific story, or you comment on that story, what it does is it enables others to see that story, and then it kind of grows and snowballs into itself, which is called going viral, right? Well, I can see, there's some statistical capabilities in Facebook that allow me to see different things, and I can see that the number of stories that are shared with other people goes up all the time. And I'm telling you that the concept of sharing is so critical because that is our mission. This is not, I hate the idea that people are like, oh, I got 10,000 likes on Facebook, as if that's some kind of badge or of their or affirmation of who they are. That's not our goal here. Listen, I couldn't care less. In fact, I don't really want a Facebook page because I don't trust Facebook. But I've got to use some method to get the word out to America, and that's it. So by your liking it, and since you're already using it anyway, and sharing the word, we're using the enemy's weapon against them. I love it. Fast Eddie shoved the note in here in front of me. They want you docile so that you are affirmed to extend your hand, to march together in force, to reclaim your liberty. Oh, so I'm sorry, not affirmed, afraid. I couldn't read his writing. They want you docile so that you are afraid to extend your hand, to march together in force, to reclaim your liberty. Boy, what? Are you John Adams, reincarnated? I'm beginning to think reincarnation might actually be true, Mike. Find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org, facebook.com/americasvoice, and youtube.com/americasvoicenow. Have a great day.
We are the Ozarks' best news talk.